Oh shoot, hold on. I have to fix this. There we go. Okay. Nintendo Direct! Woo! Hello everybody. Good morning. I struggled to fall asleep last night because I was very excited. I mean, you know, temper your expectations and all, of course. Especially with this kind of stuff. but I can't help it. I can't help but be excited for this. So, sorry, I just need to... There we go. So they're just showing the... I'm gonna turn down the desktop volume for you guys. I'm not sure if it's too loud or too quiet. As always, let me know. But they're just doing like a pre-roll, I guess, of stuff before the direct starts in about 9 minutes. So I'm gonna turn that down actually, just to talk a little. So let me close my door real quick actually, because people are still home and, you know, I just woke up a bit recently. So give me 1 second, chat. Some updates to the service. I woke up early for this, for you guys, because originally I usually just sleep through the directs and then watch them afterwards, but I wanted to do it live. So I have a little bingo here. I'm gonna enlarge this for a bit. It's for my hopes and dreams. Here lies my hopes and dreams. I made it very quick with the free bingo card website. I was too lazy, I did it on my phone. But, so we got, let's see here. So we got on the dock, WarioWare. I would love a new WarioWare game. I know technically Picto Nico, which they released on mobile, counts as a WarioWare. So I don't know if we'll be getting one. We might. There have been rumors of a Wario game in general, but I am not sure whether we will get a new one. And then I also put Sonic, you know, if he appears in any shape or form, even as like a sizzle reel type thing. I honestly don't think that we'll get anything except for maybe Crossworlds. And even then, I don't even know if that'll show up because that was just at Summer Games Fest. But, you know, he's there, just in case. And then there's Mario Kart World DLC. It's been about a year, I want to say, since Mario Kart World released, and we still haven't seen, like, any new courses, any new tracks, anything from that. So, that's why it's on there. I gotta hurry up, because we're literally running out of time. And then mobile shit, you know, in case they announce any, like, new mobile game, I think now that they might not, because, you know, one was added recently, but we'll see. Sorry. I gotta talk a little less fast. I'm just really excited. I don't want to burn myself out, though, before the direct starts. That would not be good. And then we got stuff for GameCube NSO. They still have some games, I think, that they showed on one of the directs that haven't been added, so I'm wondering if they're going to show that. So, perhaps. Deltarune. I honestly don't know if we're gonna get it, but it would be really nice. It will be really nice. There's been a lot of things that are hinting to it. I love Deltarune. If chapter 5 does indeed come out soon, I will stream it. I know I have not streamed chapters 1 to 4, but I promise you that I have played them. I have played them, and I have enjoyed them thoroughly. And I will play chapter 5. For sure. And I will stream it. And I will enjoy myself. And then next we have a remake of something. This is, you know, probably gonna happen. And then Ace Attorney. I have heard that there are rumors of a new Ace Attorney game on the horizon, and I hope to God those are true. Do not play with me. I have been waiting for so long for a new Ace Attorney game. It's not even funny. I also put more Tomodachi Life. Self-explanatory. Rhythm Heaven Groove. Potentially, hopefully, some more footage of Rhythm Heaven Groove. I know you've already seen it. I think we have the release date, although I don't know. And then there's Kirby, in case we get a new Kirby game. I don't think we will, because Air Riders was only last year. But we could get a new platformer, because it's been a little bit of time since a Kirby 2D platformer has been, a new one has been made. And then Pokemon, you know, in case we get any new news on Pokemon Winds and Waves, that'll be great. That'll be great. I am very excited to see more Pokemon. Although I feel like if we were to, they would leave it for a Pokemon Direct. So, who knows. Kid Icarus. Oh wait, yeah, then we have a free space. And then Kid Icarus. I have my doubts about this one, but we'll see. It would be very nice. I've only played a little bit of Uprising on the 3DS because the control scheme was a little bit too much for me. But I would love to see the characters again. I remember really liking seeing Pit in Smash Bros as a kid, so. Amiibo. New Amiibo figures. Self-explanatory. Pokopia update. Pokopia update. Self-explanatory. New IP. I don't know. We'll see. Nintendogs. I don't think they're gonna ever make a new Nintendogs, but I could be wrong. That's why I put it there. It would be really nice. Anything Animal Crossing. Any mention of, well, not any mention of it, but anything like DLC or another update, which I also doubt. A game that was announced already at Summer Games Fest. Self-explanatory. I don't know. Something that was already there and that's here now too, which happens sometimes, so that's why it's there. HD 2D game. This one might happen. This one might happen. It's kind of likely. Yeah, there's HD2. You know, there's a lot of them. Thanks, Square Enix. Pikmin or Pikman. I put. You know. Why not? I don't know. I kind of was running out of ideas at this point, and then I also put Persona 4, even though I don't think we're gonna get anything Persona 4 related because they're doing their own thing at later tonight. So, Puyo Puyo. Again, I don't think we're gonna get anything. And then a new Mario. That'll be nice. So anyways, that's my bingo. It's, you know, I kind of just threw it together and didn't really think about what I was putting on it. So it's kind of stupid, but it's there. I'm gonna make it small, and then we can enlarge it later. Okay. Oh, more Tomodachi footage. That's cute. I think we already saw this trailer. I think they're showing off stuff that we've already seen, but yeah. I'm gonna turn this up. There we go. I don't know if the audio is too loud or not, so if it is, then let me know. I have my Switch 2 here with me in case I need to buy any games. No, I was playing Tomodachi Life before today's stream. Because I like Tomodachi Life. I am very excited. Oh god. I'm excited but also nervous because, like, I've been let down one too many times, which is understandable, you know. They can't cater to my interests specifically all the time, but another thing that'll be really nice is a new Style Savvy. I doubt it because we got Fashion Dreamer and that was a flop. So I think it's dead in the water. Drop it. I'm watching this through OBS, just so I can check the volume levels and whatnot, so. Oh gosh. We're starting in like a minute. That's scary. I have my drinks with me here. I have my tomato juice and then I have my water and such. I have that app. I have the Nintendo Today app. Did we get a release date confirmation for Rhythm Heaven Groove yet? Because I don't know if we did. I do not know that we did. God, I'm so excited. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Please don't let me down, Nintendo, please. Ugh. Okay. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Okay. Ooh. Deep breathing exercises, Clove. Deep breathing. Ooh. Ooh. That's the opposite of deep breathing. That's like very shallow. Oh boy. Oh boy. I am very scared. I am so scared. I'm so fucking scared. Ah! Ah! I'm gonna watch this through the YouTube stream because I hope you guys can still see it. Let me check. think so, yeah. I don't see why I would stop if I'm on the tab. Oh god. Okay. Here we go! Ah. Hello.
I'm Yoshiaki Koizumi.
Hello,
and I'll be your
Koizumi.
guide for today's Nintendo Direct. First, here's a game that's coming to the Nintendo Switch system.
Okay. Nintendo Switch 1 game. Okay.
Take a look at this.
What is it? Ah! Sorry.
My name is Lowell Miss Reed.
Alright, well I can put that, I can check that off of the bingo.
Today to help show you the Rhythm Heaven Groove game.
I'm so excited for this. Oh my god! Oh my god! Ah! So cute! I have to turn myself down. Oh, it's so lovely. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, is that the guy from WarioWare?
Rhythm Heaven Groove.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. I love Rhythm Heaven. Ah.
Playing this game is pretty simple.
Bum, 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 bum.
Just get into the groove and press the correct
Bum,
button.
bum.
That's all there is to it. But it's not always the same rhythm. Listen carefully to the
I
beat.
love Rhythm Heaven so much. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this game.
Find your flow,
I
and you'll
really
be
want to stream
able
this, but
feel
I may have
the
difficulty because it's a rhythm game.
2, 3,
And
4, now.
yeah, I can't really do that because the timing is off on if I don't have a proper way to view it via capture card.
Over 80 all-new rhythm games are included.
80!
And as you play
Oh
through the
man,
game,
oh,
you can unlock different
I'm so
modes.
excited. Fuck.
The kingdom's everlasting peace rests on your shoulders. Finally, you're awake.
Go forth, magician,
I can't lose.
and use
Oh my
the magical
God.
power of rhythm to beat
Wait,
monsters.
wait, that's so cool.
Cast a fire spell.
It's like an
with
RPG?
BA,
Oh my
BA,
god.
And a healing spell with
Oh my
B down A.
god.
B down A. Like that.
So you really want to fight, huh?
What spells will strike a chord against the foes you face? Groove on.
I need to calm down because my chest is like actually starting to hurt. I think it's just because of the food I ate. Oh man.
Plus, there are even more rhythm games in the lineup. Enjoy all of this while playing solo. And
Dan, Emily, Leo,
Is this
Sarah,
okay?
we're under attack.
up to 4 players can enjoy dedicated rhythm games. Note the timing and block the arrows.
Oh, it's not the ghost thing.
Grab your
Okay.
snack at exactly
Oh
3
my
o'clock.
god, there's little mini games. That's so cute.
We're in for 3 o'clock on the
Ah,
dot.
that's so cute.
Emily got the snack.
Nice.
There are over 30 cooperative and competitive games to play.
That's so cool.
Get into the
Oh my
groove
god.
solo or with friends.
Oh
man.
my god, I can't wait to play this.
Rhythm
Oh.
Heaven Groove hits the Nintendo Switch system July 2nd. Pre-orders are available now on Nintendo eShop.
Thank
That
you,
was
thank you
Rhythm
so
Heaven
much.
Groove
Thank you.
For Nintendo Switch. You'll also be able to play it on the Nintendo Switch 2 system.
Yes, I will.
Please wait just a little longer for its release.
Oh, okay. I
From here,
can.
We'll introduce games coming to Nintendo Switch 2,
Yay!
including some games that will also be available on Nintendo Switch.
Yay!
Let's begin with some
Oh,
headlines.
I'm so excited. Okay, headlines, headlines, headlines.
Master the way of the sword.
What is this?
Let's see your best at
Onimusha,
Ooh.
Way of the
Oh,
Sword.
Onimusha.
A new
Okay,
entry in the
I
sword play action series
do
is
not
slashing
know
onto Nintendo Switch
really
2.
anything about Onimusha. But I know people are excited about
Has
this.
been overrun by monsters
I know people are
known
excited.
as Genma. Now, Miyamoto Musashi must prove himself beyond
I think,
measure.
at least, I think people are excited about this. I mean, I don't really know much about it personally, so.
And the power powerful counterattack.
Looks cool though.
reset.
Looks cool. Not really my type of game though,
Master
personally.
these techniques to strike down the enemies in your path. Oni armaments are also at your disposal to turn the tide
Oni
of battle.
armaments. Whoa, well, something is going on with my stomach. It like really hurts suddenly.
Joy-Con 2 motion controls to intuitively slay
I think it's just a buildup of gas or something. Ugh. I ate too fast because I was too excited.
Those that stand in your way?
I mean, I had spicy food. Maybe that's why.
Onimusha, Way of the Sword launches on Nintendo Switch 2, September 25th. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop. Your unwritten epic begins. Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark
Cool.
Arisen is heading to Nintendo
I don't know
Switch
much about
2.
these types of games.
You
I never
are
like.
the Arisen,
I never
a
follow them
hero
ever
burning
because
with
I'm
the fate of
I'm into
slaying the
colorful slop.
dragon to which you're
I'm
giving
into
your
colorful slop for babies.
In this expanded version of Dragon's Dogma
But it
2,
seems this stuff seems cool. I mean
new
the
land of Norgan.
yeah,
Seek
it
out
seems cool.
spoils, then appraise them to
Oh.
reveal new weapons, armor, or skills. With these arms at the ready, take down powerful monsters in this single-player action RPG adventure. From a fighter specializing in close-range combat to a mage skilled in spell casting, choose the vocation that fits your playstyle.
Nice, nice.
Plus, you can lead up to 3 pawns. Custom
Yeah, I don't know much about these
companions
types of
on
games,
their
but I
own.
respect them.
When
I respect
taking
them
on
heavily.
massive monsters, you can
Looks cool,
climb
looks
them
really
to
cool.
strike their weak points. Fighting alongside your pawn
This is
is
still
key to
sounds silly, but
victory.
the overall does remind me of Skyrim. But I'm assuming they're just both based off the same place. Oh, man.
What fate awaits the Arisen?
It just it kind of just looks like that to me.
Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen
Cool,
launches on
cool.
Nintendo
I'm sure
Switch
some
2
people are happy about this.
October
It's
9th.
Capcom. It's Capcom IP.
Otherworldly endeavors await in these games. Earth has been driven to the brink of annihilation by mysterious life forms called the Natiba. Now, join Eve on her mission to save humanity and reclaim the planet.
Oh, is this okay?
Engage in high-speed combat that focuses on timing. Then find your opening and strike.
Is this Stellar Blade?
Defeat enemies to acquire new
No, thank
skills.
you.
Strategically deploy them to fit the situation.
I couldn't see the title
You
pop up.
save humanity and reclaim Earth for humankind. Stellar Blade.
Yeah, no
launches
thanks.
on Nintendo Switch 2 this year. Blast off.
Oh, I've seen this. Oh, I saw this last. I think they showed this in a previous direct, like indie direct, and it looks really cute.
Across the galaxy. There are
It looks
many
super cute,
interstellar
but
areas to
I don't have
explore.
anyone to play it with.
Melt ice to make a path.
But I really do like the style, like the 2D, 3D thing that they're going for.
Escape from incoming enemies and more. Brave the dangers ahead in your voyage through the stars. 2 players can also work together locally or online using GameShare. Work
Whoa.
together and overcome the crisis of the cosmos. Orbitals launches
Yeah, that one looks really
exclusively
cool.
on the Nintendo Switch 2 system
I really like the
September
character
3rd.
designs. I don't know, they're really
Pre-orders
cute.
begin later today on Nintendo eShop.
Probably not something I'll be checking out because I don't have anyone to play with. Oh, there's Rayman Legends. People have been talking about this a lot online.
Legends. When a shadowy villain
I don't know.
starts spreading
I know like
corruption,
nothing
it's up to
about Rayman.
and his friends to
I
lead,
know nothing about
glide,
Rayman. I'm
and
sorry.
punch their way through charming and
One day I'll
colorful
check out a Rayman game. One day. And maybe this could be a good one to check out, but
dive into
I don't
4
know.
new musical stages and enjoy more added content.
I did see a clip of that.
Up to 4 players can go out on a limb in local co-op. You can also play a revamped version of Kung Foot using GameShare locally or online.
Ooh. I'm sure some people are very happy about this, but I don't know. I mean, I've seen like a lot of mixed things online about it, especially about Rayman's design.
It's a great day for a big walk.
Haven't they shown this
Get
before?
lost with friends in this online co-op walking
I swear to
and
God, I've seen this one
talking
already.
adventure. Set off
Oh,
through
it's so
a peaceful world
cute. Oh, look at them.
brimming with challenges, puzzles, and lots of things to discover.
I swear to God, I've seen this though before. Like,
Enjoy the sights and sounds as you work
did
together.
they
to
not
find
show
your
this in
way
the previous
around.
direct?
Use all sorts of tools to stay in touch. And figure out new methods of communicating if you're in a pickle. They might even be little unconventional.
Oh, me.
If you're not quite up to adventuring, you can always just relax with your pals. Enjoy the
People are gonna
sunset,
call this friend slap on
dance the night
Twitter.
away,
I am calling it.
or steal
It looks fun.
something
It looks
from a
really fun
friend
and cute.
Kick it into the ocean.
Aw, that's not nice.
You can also use mouse controls or hang out.
It
with
just seems like a
friends using
fun thing
cross-platform
to
play.
hang out with your friends. I don't know.
After all,
Seems really cute.
spending
I like the
quality time
vibes.
together is the
I like the
best
little
part of a
guys. They look like little birds, but I don't know if they're supposed to be.
strolling onto Nintendo Switch 2,
Very cute.
August 4th. Season the seas.
Oh, One Piece. Okay, I don't.
Build
Oh,
your
it's
very own
Kairosoft!
floating restaurant with the
I
Strawberry
knew the
Crew.
pixel style looked familiar. I had a fucking
Cook up
feeling.
recipes
The
with
pixel style
Sanji.
looked really familiar when the thing that it first showed. But because it's One Piece, I'm not that interested. But I love Kairosoft games.
Then
God damn
serve your
it.
customers as you
Oh,
run
it
the
looks so
restaurant
fun.
by searching for
It's so cute. Oh,
and
they changed the
collecting
font.
ingredients.
They changed the
You'll
font that they
expand your
usually
menu
use.
offerings.
Is that for the Switch versions?
Use devil fruit
Do they use a different
abilities
font
to
for the Switch
prepare
versions?
piping
Because that is
hot
not the
steaks.
Kairosoft font I am used to. I'm used to the very basic one that they use.
You can make all
Oh, that's so
sorts of
cool!
delicious
Oh,
dishes.
fuck. I love Kairosoft games. It's like, I've been playing them since I was a kid. I gotta stream one of them some days because I have so many of them on my on Steam.
Even more customers.
Oh, man. This just seems like another really fun Kairosoft game. I don't know how they pushed them out so fast, though. There are so many of them. And they did a Doraemon run recently as well. Recently-ish. I don't know how they do it.
One Piece Grand Gourmet.
Cool,
Sailing
cool,
onto
cool.
the
I love
Nintendo Switch
Kairosoft.
2
Thank
and
you.
Nintendo
That's so
Switch
cute.
systems
That's so cool.
October
I'm
25th.
happy for One Piece fans. If you like One Piece and Kairosoft, I definitely recommend that. Ah, Pokopia! Is this a new update? Can I mark it off on my thing? Oh my god, it is! Okay, I gotta mark it off. Yes, Pokopia! Pokopia! Hold on, where is it? There it is.
Keep adventuring
Oh my
in
god!
Pokemon Pokopia.
Oh my
Even beneath the
god!
sea. Explore the world on the ocean
Ah,
floor
yes,
with a
yes!
free update.
So
By
cool!
using the new move Dive, you can enjoy
I hope they add
life
more
with
stuff
Pokemon living
underwater
under the sea.
if they're doing this.
Plant grass.
Ah!
Build structures.
Are there gonna be new
and expand
Pokemon?
your talents
Magikarp!
underwater.
Oh wait, Magikarp's. Oh my god, was Tatsugiri in the originally?
2026.
I think I saw some new Pokemon that weren't in there
And
yet.
there's more. The Pokemon Pokopia expansion.
Oh my god!
DLC
Oh my god,
is
I'm sorry,
on
I'm
the
trying
way.
not to be too squealy and loud.
Discover a brand new town, Bubbly Basin.
Oh my goodness!
There
Oh my
you'll
goodness!
find new
Look at the mermaid furniture!
outfits.
Oh!
And new friends.
Oh my god! Popplio! Wait, wasn't
The
Popplio already in the
Pokemon
game?
Pokopia expansion pass
Ah.
DLC will be available later today on Nintendo
Yes!
eShop.
I'm happy,
Part
I'm
of
so
the
happy,
paid
I'm so
DLC,
happy.
Bubbly
Oh my
Basin
gosh, there's
launches
gonna be
this
another
August. Part 2 and Part 3 will launch at a later date.
I
Look
love
out for
Pokopia.
more
I haven't played it in a
details
bit,
in the future.
but because I finished it, but I love Pokopia. Oh my god. Oh. Ah. Yes. Oh my god.
We hope you're looking forward to more content for Pokemon Pokopia via a free
I'm looking very forward to it. Thank you, Nintendo. Thank you so much. Oh my god.
Please take a look at this.
This is the Dagdan Empire, a prosperous land ruled by the gods.
Is this an HD 2D
the
game?
capital, Daxian,
No,
plays
okay.
host to the heroic games.
It's not.
The
Is this
winner
Fire
of which
Emblem?
is granted one wish.
I don't think so.
Powerful fighters from across the land have gathered
No.
to participate.
Is it? I feel like they wouldn't drop it like this. It is! Was this announced already?
The story
I feel like this would have been
revolves around four heroes.
announced previously. Was it?
A
Oh,
young boy
cute.
determined to win the games
Wait a
to
minute.
save his imprisoned father.
Okay,
Dietrich,
this was
a
announced
swordsman
previously.
ever
I
on
just,
the hunt for a stronger foe.
Huh. How did I not hear about this? I've only played one Fire Emblem game, and that's Three Houses, and I really liked it. But this looks really nice.
A musician with her sights set on revenge. Guide whichever
I guess this was already announced, huh?
as they weave their own
I don't remember it. They're using the same art style as Three Houses, I can tell. Ooh, are those live 2D portraits?
Hone your techniques at the training grounds.
It looks nice. It definitely looks nice. It definitely looks nice.
Recruit new allies.
I like these designs. They're cute.
Or travel
Oh wow,
beyond
that
Daxian's
is a
walls to gain
huge amount.
experience.
This seems like a lot of fun. I might check it out. I might check this out.
How you spend your free time
I'm thinking
is
about
up
it.
to you.
I'm thinking about it.
Combat takes the form of turn-based tactical battles. Consider your weapon's range and your unit's strengths on the battlefield. Plus, each of the 4 main characters comes with their own special techniques.
Ooh.
By using these techniques to the fullest, you might turn the tide of battle.
Rejoice with me at the advent of the underworld.
Ooh, scary woman.
Who will route you here?
Is
and
that
guide the living to salvation? How did it feel?
is that Sodas?
To upheave the
It is.
world?
Wait, this is a sequel to Three Houses? It's in the same. This is in the same. Okay, so that's why the art style is the same. Does that sell this from Three Houses? That's cool.
Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave launches September 17th.
Oh, yeah, it does share a universe
Alongside the standard
with Three
edition,
Houses.
there will
That's
be a
cool.
Special edition, the Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave Dagden Collection, that launches the same day. Please look forward to it. Let's continue with some more headlines.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to the next
Oh, is that
level
Ninjala?
of ninja battles.
Wait, what? Are they doing like a battle royale? Like a battle royale? Blah, blah, blah. Battle royale? I'm sorry, my voice is like really high pitched today for some reason.
Ninjala 2 is sneaking
Ninjala
onto Nintendo
2.
Switch 2.
Wow, I haven't thought about this IP in forever.
Accidentally
God.
breaking a forbidden seal.
I remember playing Ninjala when it came out, and I've seen all the collabs throughout the years that it's been doing, and I'm like, that seems so fun. But then I play the game and I'm like, oh my god, I suck at this.
Use Ninja Gum to freely
But I've always liked the
traverse this
character,
vast
the
world in search of
player
clues
designs.
to
They're
get
very
back
cute.
home.
God, I haven't thought about Ninjala in ages though.
You can also blow a bubble to float in the
Oh
air.
wait, it's an open. Is this an open world game? Oh, it's like a Genshin type. Oh,
Weapons crafted from Ninja Gum.
okay, sure. Why not?
Even summon buddies with Gum Ninjutsu to unleash powerful attacks. Additionally, up to 4 ninja can team up in local or online
Interesting.
multiplayer
Do they still
to
have like
shoot
the
through
online
tough
co-op
battles.
mode? Too?
The first part of Ninjala 2, the Uncharted
first
Planet,
part?
launches exclusively on the Nintendo
What do you mean the first
Switch 2
part?
system next spring.
What do you mean by that?
The DK Challenge.
Whoa, what's this?
barrels in.
Oh, I saw images of this
Coming
online.
to Nintendo Switch Online on Nintendo Switch 2, the limited time DK Challenge event.
What is this?
Take
what
on
is
challenges
this?
across many
Oh, it's
Donkey
like
Kong games available with
achievements thing?
Nintendo Classics.
What is
By
this?
completing them,
What are
you? Can earn and
you?
enjoy collectible digital
Who are
challenge
you?
cards. And if you have Donkey Kong Bonanza, you can attempt even more challenges.
Cool. What is this though? Hey,
Try
bro.
out ones geared for beginners, or take on developer challenges for some.
Oh man, I have not. I never finished Bonanza. I like Bonanza. It just I don't think it's like fully for me.
Games, play challenges and complete your card collection.
Cool.
DK Challenge can be accessed via the Nintendo Switch online app.
Cool.
On the home
I mean,
menu of your
I
Nintendo
probably won't do
Switch
it, but that's
You'll
cool.
be able to barrel through these
Are they gonna do
limited-time
more challenges for other games
starting
too?
Later today. Plus, in the Donkey Kong Bonanza, DK Island and Emerald Rush paid DLC, a limited-time collaboration with Super Mario Brothers is breaking through.
Oh, interesting.
Enjoy outfits for DK and Pauline, inspired by Mario
Oh,
and
that's so
Luigi.
cute.
Plus,
Oh,
there are
that's so
coins,
cute. That's
super
so cute.
mushrooms, question blocks, and more.
Oh, the little Pauline in the Luigi
Experience
outfit.
Color
Oh,
Rush as you've never seen it before with a Super Mario Brothers twist.
that's cute.
This limited time collaboration event will be held in 4 waves with the first wave beginning
Ooh.
later today.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, I'm happy for you, Donkey Kong fans. Oh, is this about vampire crawlers? I still need to play this. I have it on my Steam wish list, but I have not. What?
The latest game from the makers of Vampire Survivors, Jujutsu Kaisen Rumble Survivathon.
Oh, this is not.
Cast a spell onto Nintendo Switch.
This is not what I thought it was.
Up to 8 players can compete online for the top spot in the Survivors Royale. At the
Okay.
start of a match, players don't battle directly. Instead,
Sure.
take down enemies on your own map to earn points. Each time you earn 100 points, you can add
That
a
is
rule
not
to
what I
your
thought it
run,
would be.
including ones that hinder other players. The match culminates in a head-to-head
I got
final
fucking
battle between
debated.
the top 2
Damn.
players. Who will be the final survivor? More than 20 characters from the Jujutsu Kaisen series appear. Characters can be unlocked just by
I don't
playing.
know
Battle
anything
online
about
with
Jujutsu
players near
Kaisen.
and
I'm
far,
sorry.
or go it alone against
I have not watched much
computer-controlled
anime
opponents.
as of late.
Exorcise curses, dominate rivals.
By as of late, I
Rise
mean
to
in the
top.
past, like,
Jujutsu
4
Kaisen
years.
Rumble Survivathon launches on Nintendo
That's
Switch
cool,
2
though.
this year. Are you up for the challenge in these games?
Perhaps.
Brutal, unforgiving.
No, I'm not.
Storm onto Nintendo Switch 2. In a forsaken world, a looming darkness devours all in its path. Now, only one kingdom endures. Defy the will of the gods to save what remains of humanity. Master brutal melee combat, devastating sorceries, and lethal ranged attacks. Test your mettle against towering abominations on your journey across the realms of the living and the dead. A hero must rise for a god to fall. Lords of the Fallen 2 launches on Nintendo Switch 2 this fall.
Cool. My brain completely turned off during all of that. I'm just saying. I'm just
Enter
saying.
a darkly elegant
Oh, is this
world
Liza P?
based on the story of Pinocchio in
Liza
Lies of P.
P.
In a
I don't know why I
city
did that.
under siege, you must fight rampaging
I've heard good things
mechanical
about this. I've heard good things
puppets
about this.
and
I
seek
still
the
need to
cause
check
of
it
this
out.
upheaval while confronting your own humanity. Take on enemies using customizable
still need to
weapons
check this
and
out.
prosthetic arms that allow you to swap between different
'Cause I've heard good
abilities.
things about it.
But know this, the lies you tell will alter your fate. Lies of P Complete Edition, which includes Overture, a prequel expansion to the main game, launches on the Nintendo Switch 2 system August 6th. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop. The most recent entry in the legendary Devil May Cry series is slashing its way onto Nintendo Switch 2. Play as
I
Nero,
still need. I have
Dante,
like 3 of the Devil May Cry games on.
each armed with different battle styles. As
I
you
have 3 of
fight
them
off hordes of
on
demons
Steam,
and
but I haven't
epic
touched them yet.
bosses. Pull
I have
off
not touched
stylish attacks,
them yet.
dodges, and combos with your vast arsenal of weapons and skills. Enjoy thrilling, high-octane combat at 60 frames per second in both TV mode and handheld mode. Plus, additional content such as battle tracks, character colors, and Devil Breaker weapons for Nero are included.
Nero.
Devil May Cry.
Is it? Has it
5
always been pronounced
Devil Hunter
Nero? I thought it was
Edition
Nero.
Launches on Nintendo Switch 2, June
Okay.
23rd. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop.
Cool.
Enter a mystical era, deep in Japan.
God, I thought for a second this was WarioWare.
Souls determined to forge
Somehow.
their own destinies. So you're looking
Looks
for
cool.
some runaway
This looks
ninja named
cool.
Kisuke.
Oh, I like this art style a lot. Really pretty. I don't know what this is, but it's. Oh, this is a cat girl. It's so cute.
Have spirit.
I don't know what this is, but it's very cute.
7 days from now.
I'd start repenting if I were you.
An action RPG for the ages.
An action RPG. Okay.
Awaits those who wield.
It looks nice though. It looks really cool. Never heard of this. Why did it say something different? And then okay.
Nintendo Switch 2 editions of these 3 Xenoblade
Man, I wish I was into Xenoblade. I still need to play them.
All 3 games run at 60 frames per second.
That's
with 4K
nice.
resolution in
I still
TV
need to
mode
play the
or
first.
Full HD in handheld
Someday.
mode. In-game cutscenes also have enhanced resolution and frame rate.
Nice. That looks
only
actually pretty
that,
good. What's this?
But you can travel on a high-speed vehicle in the first game.
Okay, cool.
Control blades to fight mercenary squad battles in the second.
They showed that like it's such a huge reveal that you can fucking
Put
go on a
your
little
strength
bike.
to the test against waves of enemies in the third.
Is it?
There's also a variety of other content added to each of the 3 games.
Cool.
More details will be revealed at a later date.
Cool.
The digital version of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, and the upgrade pack will be available later today.
Oh, that's
The physical
nice.
version launches on July 30th.
Ooh. Okay.
The Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Xenoblade Chronicles 2
That's pretty
and
good.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be available
Maybe
on
I'll
the
check
big
it
shown
out.
on screen.
I mean, I have such a huge backlog of games already, though. Oh my
3
god.
Xenoblade Chronicles games are getting Nintendo Switch 2 editions. New features will be added
Cool.
to each title, so we hope you'll check them out. And a new story in the Xenoblade series is about to begin. Here are some early moments from the game.
Ooh. I'm sure some people are really, really excited about this.
アニマは世界の源であった。水も
It looks really nice.
火も
This one looks really pretty, actually.
世界を構成す
I
る
love the
その
colors. Oh.
大地を流れるアニマが形を変えたものだった。そして戦いを決するのはいつもアニマとその力を自在に振るう騎士だった。
この剣の名に恥じぬよう精進します。ここがリューコス。
その石はアニマ小石。騎士の力を増幅させるだけでなく、そのものの行動や思いも刻みます。これからのあなたの
I like her design. She's very cute. Very, very
その石
cute.
と共にあると思ってください。
Oh, this is so pretty. Oh. I always thought the Xenoblade games were really pretty. I still need to check them out though, like I said.
力の使い方なんとなく分かった気が
So is this like a new game? I'm assuming. I mean, that's what they said. It's a new story.
奪われたのはどう思うんだろうな。
真実見つけてみない？
信仰を失った人の魂をドラゴンの炎で浄化
I'm
する。
getting like prequel vibes from this, but I wouldn't know because, like I said, I don't know anything about Xenoblade.
あいつ使えるぜ。小石なしで騎士の力。
生と死すべてはアニマと共にある。
Ooh.
帰るのさ、あの場所に。
さあ始まるわよ。
Those are some pretty eyes.
兄上行ってまいります。
It is very pretty. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. It's very pretty.
そこで人々は知ることになる。破れた神の恨みが未だ晴らされてはいないことを。
Genesis. So I'm getting the feeling this is pretty cool. Genesis. Just from the name alone.
Xenoblade Genesis marks a new beginning. What kind of story do you think will be told?
Either a prequel or a sequel set like very far into the future. I'm not really sure.
Next,
Hmm?
please take a look at this.
Welcome to Woohoo Island.
Oh my god!
All kinds of sports. Coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo
Yes!
Switch Sports Center, the latest game in the series. Use
Woohoo
the
Island.
Joy-Con
Oh,
2
no.
controllers. Bows.
Why does it use them, the sports mates? I think they're cute. I think they're cute, but oh my god, Woohoo Island is back. Woohoo Island is back. Yes.
Let's go over them.
Ah, boxing. Boxing is back. Yes, of course. Of course, we have to have it.
For the knockout in boxing.
Yes.
Make quick shots.
Table tennis. Okay. Do they have the island flyover again? Because that was my favorite thing to do.
Aim for the center of the
That was my
target
favorite.
and let that arrow fly. In archery. Enjoy rallies.
Tennis. Okay. Wasn't this already in Nintendo Sports? Which sports? I know volleyball was. Volleyball. I played volleyball. Okay, so that's the same. That's the same. Bowling was also in okay.
Give it a spin to strike big in bowling. Dribble. Pass,
Basketball was in it as well.
In basketball.
So this is basically like a sequel kinda. But it's so nice to see Woohoo Islands back. Oh my gosh.
Battle with
thumb wrestling.
Hand your opponent a defeat in thumb wrestling.
Those thumbs are very large.
Through the course using mouse controls.
Okay, so this works. This works. Do they don't have the biking, do they?
Steer with handles and coast along the waves.
Power cruising.
Cruising.
Yes.
And fly around freely.
Yes, they have the island flyover. Yes. Yes. I love Woohoo Island.
You can warm up for these sports with jump rope.
That's so cute.
You can create and play as a sportsmate or me character.
Yeah, I know, but the Mii's look so weird with the proportions. I do like the sports mates actually. A lot of people dislike them. I think they're very cute. It's just that, you know, a lot of people have very sentimental attachments to the Mii's. But I personally think they're really cute. And also the sports mates were designed by an artist I like, or an artist duo I like, Guri Hiru, I think. But I know that they've done a lot of, it's like an artist duo, and they've done a lot of really cute art from Marvel that I enjoy, so.
Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, that's exciting. I don't know if I'll get it, because I didn't really play Switch Sports that much, but we'll see.
One of the new sports, thumb wrestling.
Thumb wrestling, okay. Those thumbs look really. Why are they so?
Hold down your opponent's thumb.
Why does it look like that?
And you'll win. If yours gets pinned,
why does it look like that?
The controller to break free.
Oh, they're so. Oh, they're so sausagey. Oh, they're. They're so large.
You'll need this.
They look swollen and inflamed. Oh my god. The man.
Thumb wrestling match.
Oh.
The thumb moves. Just like this.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's have a good match.
Oh, interesting. Okay, it's like sensor. It's like motion. It's like sensor tracked, I think.
Oh, they broke free. All right.
Oh, they broke free.
Let's try this. Oh, we both thumbs. Oh, go, go, go. Hold it. Oh, they broke free again.
Look at him. He's struggling.
No, wait.
Poor Koizumi. Poor Koizumi.
I was worried for a second there. Okay, thumb started to sparkle. Hold on a second. That's not how it's supposed to go. Everything's fine.
Oh my god. It would be so funny if he loses. It would be so fucking funny if he loses to the CPU.
Now let's try.
Come on, Koizumi, you can do it. Come on, no.
Wait a minute.
No, he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose.
Please wait a little longer for Nintendo Switch Sports Resort.
Koizumi.
Let's move on to more headlines.
Survive a land ruled by dragons. The world of RuneScape comes to Nintendo Switch 2. An ancient power has awakened on the forgotten continent of Ashenfall. Explore a land infused with magic and
we got like
lost secrets on your journey to
15 minutes left, I think.
In this survival crafting adventure,
I really do not. I've heard even RuneScape fans are not too happy with this either. I don't know. It just looks so basic. Like, yeah, it's RuneScape, but
and build shelter.
I don't know, man. I think people still play RuneScape Classic all the time. That's what I've seen.
Weapons, sharpen your skills, and face the danger that awaits. Survive the wild.
What do I know, though? Maybe some people are really excited about this.
And challenge dragons in RuneScape Dragon
Cool.
Wilds, launching on Nintendo Switch 2 September 15th.
Chat, I don't think we're gonna be getting Deltarune today, I'm gonna be honest.
Customize your own avatar and play.
Okay, this is not Hello Kitty Island Adventure, but it's a oh my god, oh!
Join the party.
Gintama! Oh, so cute. Is that Mirror Cream?
There are over 140 Sanrio characters to
Oh my
meet.
god! Lol, oh my god! Oh my god, Kirby-chan!
Partner characters, collect stickers.
Usahana! Yay! I saw Usahana. That's very cute. I am thoroughly amused. I am thoroughly amused. It's very cute.
So let's get down
Oh, more Star Fox. Okay. I don't think I put this on my bingo. I should have. It would have been such an easy get. I haven't marked off much for my bingo today. I don't think we're gonna get a bingo either.
System with Fox McCloud and his crew. A battle for the fate of the galaxy begins. Star Fox launches.
You don't
on
need to show
Nintendo
much
Switch
about
2,
this. Wait, did they
June
announce the
25th.
release date already? Oh, that's this month.
Demo that includes a tutorial and one of the game's opening stages will be
I tried playing Star Fox 64 on NSO. I am really bad at it, so I don't think I'll be getting this.
Hope resonates within the crystals.
I don't think I'm gonna be doing more Dave the Diver after this. I think I'm just gonna go back to sleep because I did not get adequate sleep last night. But then I might return later today for Dave the Diver. So HD2D, HD2D, HD2D,
Fantasy game in HD 2D.
HD2D. Let's see here. Remake of something. Does it kind of? No, not really.
But after the invasion of the Veritas.
Okay, HD 2D, and I think a game that already was announced. No, I don't know.
Now Rain, a knight of Grandshelt, must journey across the realm with his companions to stop the Veritas.
HD 2D. See, that's like the easiest one you can get because there's always gonna be an HD 2D game. There's always gonna be them.
Call upon visions.
What?
Iconic Final Fantasy heroes from other worlds to take down monsters. Can you uncover the truth behind the Veritas?
Okay.
And the secrets the crystals hold.
So is this like HD 2D but also with some 3D elements too? Oh, it's Final Fantasy.
Launches on the Nintendo Switch 2.
It's Final Fantasy. That's why Cloud is there.
October 22nd.
I'm stupid.
Weird,
whimsical
world is waiting.
Is this by the
Piku-Niku,
yeah!
3D
Oh my
puzzle
god!
exploration adventure. What do
Oh my god, Piku-Niku's back.
robot frogs and an all-powerful potato have in common?
Oh, I haven't seen you in ages.
Of course. Meet a cavalcade of curious characters,
Oh, so
each
cute.
with their own problems and puzzles to solve.
It looks very beginner, but I think that's intentional.
Happy world lies a sinister plot to squeeze the locals for all they're worth. Time to join the resistance by using
Look at those fucking models. Oops. I did not mean to do that. Look at those fucking models. They look so good. Huh?
Feeling baffled by these affable denizens? Embrace these strange encounters and bring about an ultimate understanding. And in this sequel, navigate and explore in full 3D as you discover the secrets of this vivid, colorful world. Get ready to wander, solve, and gossip in Piku-Niku 2.
Cute. I think I prefer the 2D style though, but that's very cool. That's very cool.
Prepare for.
Oh, is this Dragon Quest?
An all new.
Yay! What is this? Oh, is it Dragon Quest Monsters? Oh man, I haven't played. That's one of the spin-offs I haven't played. Oh. Look at all them.
Two girls find themselves lost in the kingdom of Witherwood.
So cute. Ah,
there they gain the power to turn monsters into friends.
I love Dragon Quest. I love Dragon Quest so much. This is so cute. I'm assuming this is Dragon Quest Monsters.
You fancy? Scout?
Yeah. It's like I guess it's like a Pokemon spin-off. Not Pokemon, you know, the Monster Collection game. I think. I haven't played Monsters. I still need to. I will one day. One day I will. I promise.
And that's not all.
Oh, they can breathe.
Synthesize two monsters to create more powerful allies.
Oh, I love the big king slime. Oh, what? Are those new? Those new slimes? Were those new slimes? Those food ones? I don't think I remember ever seeing them. The little sushi slime. The little onigiri slime, that's so cute.
And it's monstrously fun.
I love it. Oh.
Dragon Quest Monsters.
When does it come out? When does it go? It's this year. Oh, not until December though, so that's far off.
Time you got here.
Why does she look familiar? Is this Duskbloods or whatever? I think so, yeah. Yeah, this is Duskbloods.
On the ancient blood sovereign's honor. We are monsters, each vying for blood.
Ah, you're finally here. Worthy spirit.
Cool. Ooh. Now we have like, well, there's 3 months of summer, so that's coming up soon.
How was that?
Ooh.
Next, we have more news about an upcoming treasure hunting game.
Cool. Oh. Oh, this game. Splatoon Raiders! Did I put this on my bingo?
A new single-player focused adventure.
I thought I
Check out
did.
this neat little place, the hideout ship out on the
Fuck.
water.
God damn it.
There's Deep Cut, a trio
Oh,
of swashbuckling musicians.
Look at them. Oh
And
my
this
god, they're so
ragged
cute.
individual, that's
I'm
you.
so excited
Let's
for
call
this.
this
I
handy
am
youth
so excited
the
for this.
mechanic. The four of them are using
I'm
the
so
hideout ship
excited.
as their
I
hub,
want to play it.
hunting
I want to
for
play it
treasure
now.
across these land masses, the
They announced it so
spiralite
long ago
islands.
too. Oh man.
All right, time for a quick dive. Looks like the treasure they're after is at the base of those lights. But there's a bunch of aggressive creatures called salmonids in the way.
Well, that's not nice. I know.
And when you
Oh
get too
whoa.
close, they'll attack immediately.
Oh, they are. Oh
The
whoa, they
salmonids
are pissed
aren't
off.
pushovers either, so
Oh my
you
god,
shouldn't
look at
go
all
it
these.
alone.
Look at all these guys. Look at all these variants. Oh.
That's where this comes in. The exploration
Oh, hi
ball.
Shiver.
A member of Deep Cut pilots it during your treasure hunts and attacks
Wait, can Big Man
automatically.
pilot it as well? Because I feel like can't be able to fit there.
Extra height.
I feel like he wouldn't be able to. Oh, he can.
Unleash special moves
Oh.
like this. You'll
He
also
can.
Get
Oh
support
my
in the
gosh.
form of gadgets.
Gadgets.
There's one that continuously fires ink after it's placed.
A shot pot.
Another that
A
slices
splash.
through enemies.
Ooh, it's like a hatchet.
Another that spins ink around you.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
more.
Wait.
And the best part?
It's like
you use
the
it together.
it's like stuff in like roguelite. It's like a it's like
Nice
roguelite
if that
type
made things
thing.
Easier though.
I don't know how to explain it. But... Whoa.
So to recap, do not underestimate the salmonids.
Oh my god.
Yikes! This is tougher than it looks.
Oh my god.
But the salmonids aren't the only powerful ones around here.
Yeah.
Through battles, you, the mechanic.
Oh, we
will
can
also
freeze
get
them?
stronger
That's
by
so
leveling
cool.
up.
Oh my god, I am so excited for this.
Customize
I'm so
all
excited.
sorts of upgrades
Please give it to me.
fit Your playstyle.
Soon, please, 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 please.
looks like time's
Nintendo,
up.
please.
There are even more details to cover in the upcoming
Oh my
Splatoon
gosh!
Raiders Direct, airing on June 30th.
I know
And
that I'm
in the
streaming
smart
on June
device app
30th.
Nintendo Today. See the story events leading up to
Ooh.
Splatoon Raiders with daily comics ahead of launch. Plus, in collaboration with this game, there's going to be a special Splatfest in Splatoon 3. The theme looks like it's about Splatoon Raiders.
Oh.
Details will be announced here.
Oh,
Look out
and
for
a special
more info in the
Flatfest!
future.
Yay! I don't
forget
play
to check
Splatoon
this
3
out.
anymore. I burn out a Splatoon game so fast. It's just it's not worth it. Well,
So
that's
what
so
did you think?
exciting.
Splatoon Raiders is
Alright, I
just
think we have like
around the
5
corner.
minutes left.
We'll also be releasing new Joy-Con 2 controllers inspired by Deep Cut. We hope you're looking forward to it.
Yee.
Let's see some more headlines.
Okay. Yes! 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 I knew it! I knew it! I fucking knew it! I fucking knew it! Oh my goodness! 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 Please give me. Please give me chapter 5, please! Oh my god! Oh my god! Chapter 5! Yes! Fuck. Fuck, I knew it! It's gonna be in the flower shop! I knew it! When is it coming out? Please tell me. When is it? Oh my god, that's so Yes! That's this month! Yes, I'm so excited! Metaphor, I'm so excited! Fuck. Oh my god, Delta Run tomorrow! Delta Run tomorrow! Ah!
This is the United Kingdom of Ukraine.
Oh my god, I'm so excited!
The next king shall be decided by the will of the
Delta Run
people.
tomorrow!
By decree of the king. As
Yes,
his
yes,
face
I'm
points
so
to the
sorry.
sky,
I like Metaphor, I just never
the
finished it.
throne begins.
Yes. Fuck, I'm so excited. Sorry, oh my god.
As one of the throne's candidates,
Oh my god, chapter 5, I cannot believe it. 2 weeks, we have 2 weeks until Delta Run is coming!
various enemies.
Okay. I'm saying.
Monsters roaming this world.
I'm saying.
As well as other candidates.
Oh.
And strange beasts.
Oh my god, I'm saying.
as humans. Control your destiny and change the world in Metaphor. ReFantazio.
I'm calm.
Launching
Okay.
on the Nintendo Switch 2 system. November
We can
12th.
mark that off now. Deltarune. Where did they?
Explore. Survive.
Oh, Minecraft.
A dedicated Nintendo Switch 2
Cool.
version of Minecraft is on the way.
Cool.
Dig into your Minecraft adventure on Nintendo Switch 2
Chapter
with support
is it
from
5?
visuals.
This is real, and then we have
And
2 more
embark
chapters
on a
after that, and
journey
that's
across
it.
a world with enhanced lighting
Oh
and
my
shadow
god!
effects.
Oh my god! Oh my heart!
Plus, Nintendo Switch worlds
poor
can
heart.
be carried over, so you can pick up right where you left off.
I'm trying not to be too loud because I know there's other people in the house, but if there was not, I would have been way more
Launches on
louder.
Nintendo Switch 2
God
this year.
damn! Oh, Final Fantasy 14. Okay, those are real. Those are real. Oh man. Oh. I'm calm. Oh man, I can't wait to go look back over the chapter 5 trailer and see what I missed, because there was a lot of really cool visuals there. Oh, I saw. Oh, Trashy is one of the enemies you can face. Oh. God, oh god, I'm so excited. This is already a 10 out of 10 direct for me. No more needs to be said. I wonder what they're saving for last though. It's gotta be. It's. I mean, it's either needs to be good or something I just do not care about. That's how it usually goes. I mean, stuff I don't care about can also be good. So you know. Okay, I'm gonna count that as a remake of something. Whatever. God, Deltarune, oh man. I am so excited for Deltarune, you guys. I think a million people are. God, oh my god. I knew it was coming. I had a feeling I just didn't think. Hi Fire T and hi Final Fantasy 14. I'm not looking forward to playing with people playing on Switch because playing it's hard.
The battle of light and darkness approaches.
What? What? Is this King? No, this can't be 4. No. Okay.
Hearts games are coming to Nintendo Switch.
Well,
traverse through
I will count it.
Disney and Pixar worlds.
Did I not put it on here?
Befriend all sorts of magical
I'm stupid. I thought I put it on my bingo, but I didn't.
In action RPG combat.
Okay, so it's not Kingdom Hearts 4. It's just 1 through 3 again.
Experience them for the first time.
That's cool.
Sora and his friends
You got me really fucking excited there for a sec, and then you took it away from me.
You can transfer your existing
we're never gonna get to Kingdom Hearts 4. We're not ever gonna get it. Oh.
These 3 collections launch on Nintendo Switch 2, October 8th.
We're just gonna get constant re-releases and ports.
All 3 compilations.
Over and over again.
Collection 1 through 3 also launches October 8th.
Over and over and over again.
A free demo of Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind will be available later today on Nintendo eShop.
Cool. I've already played all these games. Is this Kingdom Hearts 4? Is this Kingdom Hearts 4? Oh my god! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Yes! Finally! Yes! 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 Show it to me! Show it to me, Rachel! Show it to me, please! Oh my god! Oh my god, hi! Oh my god, hi! Oh my god, hello, hello! I'm so excited! I'm so excited! I want to know what the, I know this is silly, but I want to know what the new Disney worlds are, please. Oh my god, I'm so excited! Kingdom Hearts 4 is real! Kingdom Hearts 4 is real! Oh my god! Oh my god, it's real! Oh my god, it's still the same world that we've seen, but oh, I'm so excited! Oh my god, it's fucking real! Oh my god, it's real! Thank you! When is it coming out?
How was that? Next is our last
When is it coming out?
Please take a look.
Alright, what's the last thing?
Long ago, there was a land created by beings of supreme divinity.
Is this a new Zelda game? Is this a new Zelda game? Did I put Zelda on my bingo? No, I didn't. I'm stupid. Oh my gosh. Is this a remake of Ocarina of Time?
Watched over the inhabitants of the
God, I'm like fucking sweating. That's crazy.
These forest dwellers were called the Kokiri. Each had a fairy companion, and they lived out their innocent lives in these woods. However, there was one particular boy.
This has to be an Ocarina of Time remake, right?
Who did not have a fairy.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. Look at him. Does he look like that in game? No. No, I mean, oh. Whoa. Whoa, look at Link. Oh my gosh. Well, he's like hyper realistic. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Is this has to be Ocarina of Time remake, doesn't it? It looks nice. Oh my gosh. It is! Oh my gosh! Oh, that's so cool! That's so cool! Ah! That's this year? Oh my god, I'm so excited!
The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time will be reborn on Nintendo
Oh my god, I'm so
Switch 2.
excited! Oh my god.
More details will be announced in the future, so please look forward to them. That's all for today's
Okay, that was a
Nintendo
great direct. Holy shit. Oh my
Earlier
god.
this year, Devon-san was appointed as the new president of Nintendo of America.
Ooh.
We'd like to conclude this presentation with a few words from Devon-san.
Okay.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Koizumi-san. Hi, everyone. I'm
Hello.
Devin Pritchard, and after 20 years at Nintendo, one of my favorite things about gaming is still that moment I get
Oh
to
man,
try
I'm so
something
excited for Deltarune
new. I watch
and
the
fucking
trailers, I hear about a
Splatoon
game, but the
and
moment I pick up a
Pokopia
controller,
and
that's when it all
and
comes
everything.
together.
And Zelda
And for me,
and
that's what games
everything.
have always been
Oh.
about. Those little moments that surprise me and allow me to immerse myself in different worlds. You can read about a game, you can watch a trailer, but nothing beats seeing it for yourself. And that's a big part of what Nintendo Treehouse Live is about. Getting a closer look, hearing from the teams, and spending more time with the games themselves.
Okay.
So let's get to it. We've got a new Nintendo Treehouse Live ready to go, with a few games I hope you find interesting.
I'm assuming they're gonna cut to
And if you
Treehouse
enjoyed
now.
Splatoon Raiders in today's Nintendo Direct,
I'm gonna lower the volume. Oh my god. Chat. So, oh gosh, I am so excited. Oh my god. So I didn't get any bingos. That's fine, but I did get several things that I wanted. Deltarune, Pokopia update, Zelda, Rhythm Heaven Groove News. Oh man, I'm so excited. No Pokemon Winds or Waves though, which is a little interesting. But I'm assuming they're saving that for a Pokemon Direct. God, oh my god. I was gonna play more Day of the Diver today, but I am so tired. I'm just gonna end it here. But thank you to everyone who came by to. Alright, I am just gonna close out of YouTube now. God, okay. That was great. That was great. I'm so excited for I love video games. Anyways, I will be uploading the reaction to this to YouTube soon, as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for dropping by. I had a blast. God, I'm so excited. Oh my god. Okay, alright. See you guys. Bye.